The movie Rope is a great film by Alfred Hitchcock, known for being shot in one take. But today I want to take a look at the overall meaning and dive into the characters of this film, filled with possible homosexual subtext, admiration, jealousy, and one crazy idea. At the start of the movie, Brandon and Philip have a love-hate and possible romantic relationship between them. They seem very close, they live in the same apartment, they stand within each other's personal space, and they talk as close friends. They mention memories and just have general small talk throughout the movie. Yet, they seem to argue quite often, but still remain close, almost like a lover's quarrel. They argue about certain decisions, yet still remain close, unlike two regular people arguing. Throughout the movie, Brandon is incredibly confident, witty, and meticulously planning this party to leave the murder directly under his guests' noses the entire time. It remains unclear as to why he might be this way during the beginning of the movie, but after Professor Cadell appears, it seems that Brandon is feeding into his superior and inferior people ideology, and how superiors should be able to rid the world of inferiors.
Think of the problems it would solve: unemployment, poverty, standing in line for theater tickets.
I must say I've had a perfectly dreadful time getting tickets for that new musical.
Brandon himself is well-dressed and has a large apartment in New York City, giving him the appearance of being wealthy, and his victim is not in this higher class. He also wants to be smart enough to get away with the murder since his ideology isn't accepted by law. The reason he seems to want to get away with this is to impress his professor, possibly trying to show him that he is on the same level. Philip throughout the movie is shy and quite unstable. It seems to me the only reason he decided to be an accomplice in the murder is because he didn't want to make Brandon unhappy with him, or he wants to impress him. Brandon is so obviously interested in the professor and speaks only positively of him. Philip could want Brandon to be interested in him, which is why he might go through with the murder. Brandon also talks about them leaving to visit his parents. This could possibly be because their relationship is getting serious. Therefore, Philip might not want to upset his serious lover by not going through with this murder. However, Philip seems to immediately regret his decision and doesn't want to take any chances, while Brandon wants to put the murder right under everyone's noses. Philip seems to be hit with guilt when the guests at the party bring up the victim. He becomes so uneasy that when Brandon tells guests about when Philip killed a chicken, he snaps and becomes very hostile. After this, he becomes distant from the party and when questioned becomes incredibly defensive and angry.
What's what all about? Now stop playing crime and punishment, Rupert. If you want to know something, come out with it, otherwise...
No, temper. Now, don't stop.
I'd like a drink.
Oh, wait.
Professor Cadell is confident, but unlike Brandon, he isn't cocky. He slowly pieces things together and waits for the perfect moment to make accusations or ask questions. When he has his first suspicion, he gives Philip the impression that he already knows without being direct or accusing him of the murder. This makes Philip defensive and suspicious, confirming to the professor that something isn't right. Then he explores the apartment, noticing the books are bound with an odd rope, that Brandon doesn't want the chest to be opened, and finally that the victim's hat is in the closet. He then makes the excuse to come back to their apartment, but then is still incredibly smart with making his accusation because he knows if they really did commit a murder, they might kill him too. He begins discussing with Brandon how he would get away with such murder, explaining it the same way it was actually committed. This seems to excite Brandon because he thinks that he and the professor are truly alike. Cadell is almost certain that they have committed the murder once he notices Brandon has a gun. Once he gains possession of the gun, he discovers the body and realizes how very wrong his ideology was. He is completely disgusted that Brandon thought he had the right to determine that he was better than someone else so much that he could take their life. This makes Brandon and the professor different. While the professor might think that some people are better than others, he has realized no human has the right to take a life from another, whilst Brandon believes the opposite. In the end, Professor Cadell saves the day by firing the gun out the window, alerting the authorities, and sending justice to the murderers.